do you read every day? You might have dozens of emails to get through, project proposals to consider, or trade publications to look at, not to mention the magazines, books, newspapers, and websites that you read for your own enjoyment. Many of us spend a good portion of our time reading something, but despite this, we don't often think about improving our reading skills. Becoming a better reader means we can take in information faster and retain more of it. The first step to reading more effectively is to break your poor reading habits. For instance, many people focus on each word, but this can cause you to miss the overall message. Instead, try chunking words together. You can practice this by expanding the number of words you read at a time. To do this, try to position the text a little further away from your eyes. Then, instead of reading a single word at a time, read 4 or 5. Another bad reading habit is subvocalization. This is when you speak each word in your head as you read. This takes more time than is necessary because your brain can understand a word more quickly than you can say it. To address this, practice stifling that voice in your head by reading larger chunks of words. Regression is another bad habit. This is when you go back over words to make sure you read them correctly. Skipping back like this causes you to lose the flow of what you're reading and takes up valuable time. To overcome this, don't allow yourself to reread material. Run a pointer, such as a pen, or your finger along the line as you go. Your eyes will follow it and will keep moving along. Many people find it difficult to concentrate when they read, but often they've got the TV or the radio on, and they're looking at an email while they're on the phone. It's important to keep distractions to a minimum. Speed reading needs to be done in a quiet, focused environment. Keep in mind that learning to read faster and more effectively takes time, so it's important to practice as much as possible. Start with something easy, like an entertaining article or a favorite novel. Use a pointer to increase your speed and gradually move it across the page faster and faster. Your eyes and your brain will want to keep up. This is an easy way to increase your reading speed. You can find out more about improving your reading skills in the article that accompanies this video.
Welcome to the fastest growing desert city on the planet and one of the most exciting places in the world, Dubai. Luxurious hotels like Burj Al Arab define the skyline and the personality of Dubai as an ultra-modern destination as well as a dream city. Burj Al Arab is known to be a luxurious 7-star hotel and probably the most iconic one in the world. Its magnificent design is perfectly complemented with the quality of the service and facilities that visitors find within. Transport infrastructure has experimented a great development in the latest years, as well as the construction industry, leading to impressive creations like Burj Khalifa. Burj Khalifa is the tallest building in the world. 830 meters of majestic structure constitute the centerpiece of downtown Dubai. Burj Khalifa transports visitors to the ancient culture and traditions of Dubai, creating a mystic atmosphere along the illustrated corridors that lead to the top of the building on board one of the fastest elevators in the world, a frenetic ride at 10 meters per second. The view from the top is stunning, offering a 360 degrees panoramic of the city. A striking skyline of impressive buildings and amazing constructions surrounded by the sea and the desert. Burj Khalifa is home to Dubai Mall, 12 million square feet of shopping and entertainment. With a size equal to 50 soccer fields, the mall contains 1,200 stores and an impressive collection of major fashion brands. Surrounded by an artificial lake, it is a major element of downtown Dubai. Dubai is divided in several districts, being Jumeirah a very popular one. Jumeirah is also the name of a sand beach that stretches along the coast south of the city's historic district and terminates close to the Dubai Marina district and the port facilities. Dubai is not only shiny mirrored skyscrapers and boutique malls. The historic district offers a striking contrast with other districts in the city. The place is brimming with people on the prowl for bargains, keeping the hustle and bustle of real Dubai soul on the streets. Contrary to what many people believe, only 20% of Dubai's income is based on oil. The other 80% comes from business and tourism. It is worth paying a visit to this fantastic city. Come along and experience Dubai by yourself.
Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 5.
Hello, this is land transport information at Toronto Airport. How may I help you?
Oh, good morning. I'm flying to Toronto Airport next week and I need to get to a town called, Milton. Could you tell me how I can get there?
Milton, did you say? Let me see. I think that's about 150 miles southwest of here. In fact, it's 147 miles to be exact. So it'll take you at least, say, 3 to 4 hours by road.
Wow, is it as far as that?
Yes, I'm afraid so. But you have a number of options to get you there, and you can always rent a car right here at the airport, of course.
Right. Well, I don't really want to drive myself, so I'd like more information about public transport.
Okay. In that case, the quickest and most comfortable is a cab, and of course there are always plenty available, but it'll cost you. You can also take a Greyhound bus, or there's an airport shuttle service to Milton.
I think for that kind of distance a cab would be way beyond my budget. But the bus sounds okay. Can you tell me how much that would cost?
Sure. Let's see, that would be $15 one way, or $27.50 return. That's on the Greyhound.
Ah, that's quite cheap. Great. Whereabouts does it stop in Milton?
It goes directly from the airport here to the city center, and it's pretty fast. But you have to bear in mind that there is only one departure a day, so it depends what time your flight gets in.
Ah, of course. Hang on. We're due to get there at 11:30 a.m.
Too bad. The bus leaves at 3:45, so you would have quite a wait, more than 4 hours.
Oh, I see. Well, what about the shuttle you mentioned?
Okay, that's the airport shuttle that will take you from the airport right to your hotel or private address. It's a door-to-door service, and it would suit you much better because there's one every 2 hours.
So how much does that cost?
Let's see. That's $35 one way, $65 return. So I guess it's a bit more expensive than the Greyhound.
Oh, that doesn't sound too bad, especially if it'll take me straight to the hotel.
But you do need to reserve a seat.
Okay. Is it possible to make a booking right now, through you?
Sure.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 6 to 10.
Okay, I just have to fill this form out for you. So, what date do you want to book this for?
The 16th of October. Oh, no. Sorry, that's my departure date. I arrive on the 17th, so book it for them, please.
So that's the Toronto Airport shuttle to Milton. And this is for just one person, or?
Yeah, just me, please.
Right. And you said your expected time of arrival was 11:30? So if I book your shuttle for after 12, let's say 12:30, that should give you plenty of time to, collect your baggage, maybe grab a coffee.
Yeah, that sounds fine, as long as we land on time.
Well, we'll take your flight details, so you don't need to worry too much about that. Now, what about the fare? What sort of ticket do you want? One way or?
Yeah, that'll be fine, provided I can book the return trip once I'm there.
No problem. Just allow a couple of days in advance to make sure you get a seat. And what is your name, please?
Janet Thompson.
Is that Thompson spelled with a P?
No, it's Thomson.
Okay. And you'll be coming from the UK? What flight will you be traveling on?
It's Air Canada flight number AC936 from London Heathrow.
Right. Now, do you know where you'll be staying? We need to give the driver an address.
Yes, it's called the Vacation Motel, and I think it's near the town centre. Anyway, the address is 24 Kitchener Street. That's Kitchener Street.
That's fine. Right, so that's $35 to pay, please. Have you got your credit card number there?
Yes, it's a Visa card, and the number is 3303 8450 2045 6837.
Okay. Well, that seems to be everything. Have a good trip, and we'll see you in Toronto next week.
Yes, bye. Oh, thanks for your help.
That is the end of section 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Section 3. You will hear a tutor talking to two business students called Philip and Janice about their research on managing individuals. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 23. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 23.
Well, you've both been looking at different styles of managing individuals in companies and the workplace. How's the research going, Philip?
Well, I've been looking at why individual differences are such an important area of management studies. When you think about any organisation, be it a family business or a multinational company, they're all fundamentally a group of people working together. But it's what these individuals contribute to their places of work that makes you realise how important they are. Of course, they bring different ideas, but it's also their attitudes and their experiences of learning. Diversity is important in these areas too.
So why do people behave so differently from one another at work?
There are lots of reasons, but research has shown that a lot of it comes down to personality. And the other factor is gender. It's a well-known fact that men and women do lots of things in different ways, and the workplace is no different.
Did you look at the effects of this variation on companies?
Yes, I did. On the positive side, exposure to such diversity helps encourage creativity, which is generally an asset to a company. But unfortunately, individual differences are also the root of conflict between staff, and they can lead to difficulties for management, which can sometimes be serious.
Section 4. You will hear part of a lecture about cave paintings and other types of rock art. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the first seminar in preparation for our archaeological fieldwork in Namibia. We are fantastically lucky to have received partial research funding for this trip from our institute, so I shall expect 200% attention and participation from you all. First, in this seminar, I'm going to give a brief introduction to contemporary research on rock art. And in the second part, I'm going to give you some do's and don'ts for our fieldwork trip in April. so please listen very carefully. I'm first going to focus on the interpretation of rock art in Namibia. We are very fortunate to be going to an area where you can find some of the most important sites in the entire world. And I hope to show you how easy it is for everyone to make mistakes in looking at cultures which are different from our own, the first and most important lesson we have to learn. In Namibia, there are both paintings and engravings. That's where the surface of the rock is cut out. Many of the engravings show footprints of animals, and most scholars used to think that the purpose of these was simple and obvious. This rock art was like a school book with pictures to teach children about tracks, which track belonged to which animal, giraffe, lion, and so on. But there were some mysteries. First, when you look at a typical Namibian painting or engraving, you see the tracks are repeated. There are dozens of tracks for the same animal. Well, you'd expect just one clear illustration if the the aim was to teach tracking. Now, there were two more problems. Why are some of the engravings of animals very accurate, as you'd expect, all clearly identifiable, and others quite unrealistic? And another mystery. Some of these unrealistic animals, that's in the engravings, seem to be half human. Some, for example, have got human faces. Many researchers now think that these were pictures the wise men engraved of themselves. They believed they could use magic to control the animals they had drawn, so the hunters could then catch them for food. This shows you some of the dangers of coming from one culture to another, as we'll be doing, without understanding it fully. Scholars imagined that children looked at rock art pictures to learn to track, just because they themselves had learnt skills from pictures. Many researchers now believe that rock art had a much more complex purpose, and we'll talk more about it next week. Now, before I invite you to join in a discussion in this second part of the seminar, I'd like to make some very important points about our fieldwork, and in fact any field trip to look at rock art. We're going to a number of sites, and we won't always be together. The single largest problem faced by people who manage the sites is, yes, I'm sure you've guessed, damage caused by visitors, even though it's usually unintentional. Whenever you do go to a site, don't forget you can learn many things from observing at a distance, instead of walking all over it. This can really help to reduce visitor pressure. People often say, well, there's only 2 of us, and just this one time. But maybe thousands of people are saying the same thing. And then some basic rules to guide you. We'll have our own camp near a village, but remember never to camp on a site if you go on your own. It may be disrespectful to the people of that culture, and certainly don't make fires, however romantic it may seem. It's really dangerous in dry areas, and you can easily burn priceless undiscovered material by doing so. So, how are we going to enjoy the rock art on our field trip? By looking at it, drawing it, and photographing it. Never by touching it or even tracing it. Rock art is fragile and precious. Remember that climbing on rocks and in caves can destroy in a moment what has lasted for centuries. So, no heroics in Namibia, please. Try to be extra careful and help others to be too. Oh, and lastly, please don't even move rocks or branches to take photographs. You should leave the site intact. I'm sure I can rely on you to do that. Well, that's about all I want to say before today's first discussion. But if you have any questions, please ask them now. Oh, and don't forget you'll find some fascinating information about worldwide sites on the internet. Right, first question then.
That is the end of
Hi, Matthew. How's it going?
Hi, Paul. I called you up yesterday, but I couldn't get through to you. Are you okay?
Yes, I am. Sorry for not calling you back. I've been very busy looking for a new job.
Really? But what happened?
I quit my job last week. I didn't get on with my boss very well, and I ran out of patience. He used to have me do my projects over many times. I just couldn't put up with all the hard work. That job was stressing me out. It was simply taking up all my time. I had to drink lots of coffee to make it through the day. I used to work during the weekends too, and I would stay up many nights to finish my projects and hand them in on time. I ended up feeling so exhausted every day. My boss used to check up on me all the time. When he saw me nodding off at work one day, he had a go at me, telling me off in front of everyone. Luckily, I had some great colleagues that stood up for me. It was so good to know that I could always count on them. Anyway, I couldn't carry on like that. I felt like being a slave. I wanted to get away. I kept thinking about it for a very long time. I spent days turning the problem over in my mind. It was not easy for me to just give up my job. I will keep myself away from that company from now on. So I started looking for another job.
Hold on a moment. I have to pick this up.
No problem. Go ahead.
Okay, let's take up where we left off. So, you're looking for another job?
Yes, I'm now ready to start over somewhere else.
Maybe you should first try to relax and wind down for a few days.
You're right. I really need a break. But enough about me. Tell me about you. How are you getting on with your work?
Everything is fine.
But you look worried. Is there something going on with you and Sarah, maybe?
Well, the problem is that we broke up, so I'm feeling a bit down at the moment.
I'm really sorry you're going through this, but what happened?
I didn't show up to our date because something came up. I had just found out that I had to attend a business meeting, and I didn't get to call off the date. She thought I made it all up, and that I actually fell for somebody else. She said I had let her down. It's so hard for me to get over this.
You should talk it over and sort things out. Sorry for bringing up this subject if you're not comfortable talking about it.